Okay guys, and welcome back to part 13 of the Tony Ray 1.5 meter Tiger Moth build, and I'm going to continue with the fuselage covering. I've made a start on the other side, starboard side, and I'm just going to finish off. We'll tighten it up, then we'll have another look. Cheers. I'll just angle you down. I've made a start on the side panel. In fact, I've made more than a start. It's virtually on. I had to be careful down here because you get a kink, so I've had to sort of space it a little bit as I went, but it's on, not bad. So I'm just going to trim it now. Really, I'm not sure if I should use scissors, or I've only got to sort of trim it about 1/8 of an inch. Let's just try scissors. Don't normally use scissors, but let's just try them. It might be a more consistent sort of width. Actually, it's going very well. I just don't want to see it sort of waver in and out, which you might get with a scalpel trying to cut, just, you know, leave an 1/8 of an inch hanging off. I think I'm putting a bit too much stress on it there. It's unsticking. Okay, that was pretty good. I don't want it unsticking because I haven't got anything left to pull on if it does. So let's just. The reason it was unsticking is because it's only stuck right on the very corner, which is rounded, by the way, of course. But I didn't want to stick it down because it's got to go up at an angle. So now I can turn it around and actually make a much better job of it. And this will give it something to stick to now. As you can see, I decided not to go right up over the top of the turtle deck, because I could well do that a different colour. I'm erring towards a different colour. I've got a different colour as well. So actually, I'm glad I stretched this out, because if I didn't, because I'm doing this, it would be sticking unstretched fabric to the former, which would affect how it would stretch out ultimately. So I'm glad I stretched it out. Okay, let's just tidy up this tail end, and then we'll make sure everything's stuck all the way around, and then stretch it out. Right, I'm just going to run this up here just to make sure. Okay guys, here we go. Pump the temperature up and tighten it out. if you're worried about it marking, you can always put a cloth on the top and that will protect it. Only skimming just gently over the surface, not really pressing on anything. One other little tip I can give you, because of the amount of mounting holes, you might want to, when you've taken all the furniture off the sides, you might want to do as I did, and that's to take lots of photographs of where the holes actually are. And if you want, you can also put a rule next to them in the photographs. That'll help you to find those little pinholes. Now the push rod's going to come out here, and I'm just going to push the wire through and it comes out where it comes out. If I'd thought about it, I would have brought the outers, push rod outers out, left them full length and then cut them after I put the sides on, and then they'd have been at its exact height. But it'll still look okay, and it will actually be under the tailplane, so nobody will notice. Nobody will know, sir. Well, that's come out nice, look at that. Let's just make sure this is stuck down onto there. Okay, iron off. So that's the side done, and I like that. That's just nice. Lovely. Right, I'm going to do the other side, and when that's done I'll come back to you and we'll talk about the top covering. Lovely stuff. I've used a soldering iron, by the way, technique for just melting holes through where the wings go and the servo leads come out. I'll show you another little tip. All the little holes I've drilled for the various fittings, the cabanes, the doors, to find those holes again, I've found a little technique, and that is to get a glass headed pin. As you get your pin and you just roll it over the bodywork, when it finds a hole it just drops into it. So there'll be one up here, or two actually, one there and one there. So just give it a little press and pop your pin through, and you're away. So that's a nice way of doing it. So I'm going to continue here, and I'll see you back in a minute. I'm going to tackle the top, and to make life a little bit easier for myself, I've cut one straight edge on the covering, and I'm going to try and cut the other one once it's on. So to help me place it, I'm going to stick some masking tape. Be careful if I took the back enough first. If you've ever tried to stick down film covering with the backing on, you'll find it's not very effective really. There. And that one there, I don't know if this is going to work, can only help, I would have thought, is right on the edge of that white. I'm going to come in very slightly to about there. Actually, thinking about it, let's just offer a door up a minute. The door hangs a little bit lower, that's going to be red as well, so I can go a little bit lower, which is good because it means I can overlap the white a little bit on this side. I've got a couple extra here. I'm going to put one, let's just make life easy. Fold it over, then you've got a tab. One there. Doesn't that look lovely? That lovely line. Okay, think that will do nicely. Now I didn't want to attach too much of this because I've got to peel it back a little bit to get my cutter under there, straight edge. So that's why I'm a little bit reluctant to go too far. I think that'd be okay. So all I've got to do is to mark the two ends where I'm going to cut. It's just a fraction below the tail plane. So there, and then up this end we're going to say, oh, it's got to be, let's put the other door on a minute, that'll set our depth. So we say there, that takes us to the under the hinge, which is what it was that side. Yeah, so I'll cut it there, straight edge down to there. And here's a nice straight edge. I can't just lay it on and cut it because I'm afraid I'm going to go through the. I'd like something hard under that to cut against. So I was thinking initially a piece of plywood. And I'm just wondering if there's anything in the kit I could use. Okay. I put that under there like that. Is it going to go on far enough? Because I've tacked it. I think I'll do as well is to stick a piece of masking tape down on the wood, on the covering. The more I can hold it down, the better. Okay, let's try that. So if I put that on there, don't particularly want to cut this side of the rule because if it should slide off, it's going to go right into the good area. But I might not have any choice there. So what I think I'll do is to turn this around like that. Could do with something a bit more solid here. Let me just put in some of my 321 blocks like that. Put that one in for good measure, and let's have a look. I'm just going to have to cut it very carefully. Don't forget, if the worst comes to the worst and I completely mess up and cut into the good stuff, then I'll strip it off and start again. Right, mark. Here's another tip you can do to stop that sliding as you cut it. You can even fix the rule to the cutting thing you're cutting. This is quite an important, you might think I'm being a little bit overcautious here, but it's quite an important cut that if I get wrong, it's going to look a bit of a mess. Okay. Right, what I've got to do is run the blade down now. Sorted. There we go. Okay, that went all right. Remove the rule. My favourite rule, that really heavy weight. Right, keep that for the middle bit. Remove the wood. Remove the tape. Now, in theory, this should stick down and be a perfect line. So, you stick it down and down. Okay, now all I've got to do is seal around the edge, cut this into the edges and around the front and around the back, then I can tighten it out, which I will do, although it's pretty much tight already. Let's just go around there, along there, down there, Right, okay, I've trimmed it so as I still glue the face of the little trim pieces I made and the front of the fin. So we can now, I'm pretty certain, tighten it out. Just to reiterate, the reason I'm using this on here is because if I use the iron, it'll stick down in places and it might crease or contort. I don't want to put iron marks on it because you will see where it's stuck. So if I shrink it, as long as I'm certain the edges are stuck down firmly, because as it shrinks it will pull, and I think they are, especially if you don't actually aim the heat at the joints, just away from them a little bit. Try and spread the heat evenly. And you are activating the glue on it, so now if I run my hands over it, it's not stretching there, that I can glue that down. It's pretty warm. A little bit there, it just wants to shrink a bit more. Make sure it is stuck there, yep. There we are. That'll paint in. I'll get some red paint the same colour and spray that, and that will go in beautiful. Right, okay. I'm going to do the next pieces, guys. They're pretty straightforward wraparound jobs. I'll have to trim them the same way, but I think that looks pretty good. Quite happy with that. Okay, I'll see you back when I've done those front pieces and we'll have another look at the next piece. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're enjoying the video, give it a thumbs up. Okay guys, I'm going to make an executive decision regarding the cowl. As you know, in the last video, I was talking about trying to get this 4S battery in. It does go in, it sits there nicely, but it's not going to give me the CG position that Tony used. So I don't want to fly off tail heavy. So what I'm going to do is to fit a bigger battery, much bigger battery, heavier battery. I don't want to use lead. So on the strength of that, I'm going to adapt or modify this cowl. Now, in the later kits, the cowl is different anyway. It's softer, and you have to, I haven't seen one, so I don't know what it's like. It might even be in 2 parts, I'm not sure. And then you glass it on the inside. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to cut the front of this cowl off and reattach it with magnets. I'm using my balsa wood saw, and I'll probably wreck it, but I want the finer blade as possible. You can see lots of plastic dust coming off. I'm not sure it's actually gone through. No, it hasn't. You can smell like burning plastic. That's why I'm moving it around, because if it's melting it with the heat, then that will block up the blades more than anything, the teeth. Right, it's far enough there. Let's turn it round. There we go. Okay, that feels pretty rigid, and thankfully so is that. Right, now let's just offer it up. Approximately there. And then I slide my battery and connect it up, and then this will just go clip onto the front. That's maintaining its shape, so that's really good. Now all I need to do is to work out how I'm going to clip that into position, and I might even be able to fix part of my dummy motor, which is here, which I won't be able to use, but I might be able to fit just the first cylinder in like that, because I can't see the battery needing to come all the way up to the nose, especially if I use a heavier battery. So I'm going to work out how I'm going to fix this on now then, guys, and then I'll come back to you with a nice click, 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 click. That's the idea. Let's hope it works, eh? Interesting couple of hours spent. There's my front. Slides off either side. I've got 5 magnets there. 4mm square, 5mm square perhaps. So I've got 2 on the bottom, 3 on the top. Job's a good one. So now I can just, like all magnets, just slide them off. I can pull that off. In fact, let's put it on. Let's see what I see. Let's turn it around a minute. Oops. I need to screw it on really, but this will give us some idea. Like that. I can see the tongue, so I might trim that back, I might not, but the battery will slide straight in there for as far as I need to go. Let's move you around a little bit. For as far as I need to go. Once the battery's in, yeah, oops, there's some stray magnets. Once the battery's in, just straight on with the cover, and away I go. The motor and the mount just fit above the plate I put in here. A small gap there. You won't notice it particularly when it's all painted up. It looks just like a panel line anyway. I think that's a 100% success. I thought I'd better go overboard with the magnets because I don't want it coming off, because it's going to make a bit of a mess if it does. But yeah, really happy with that. I might just put a couple of little blocks on the inside to keep it really lined up perfectly. Might not be a bad idea. The amount of access I've got here now is just, you can't ask for any more than that, can you? And I might be able to now, once I get the balance, I'm put a much bigger magnet, put a much bigger battery in there, and then I can just cut this motor mount down slightly just to have one of the cylinders. In fact, there's a short one there, although it'll be back to front, but it gives you some idea. Even that's just too big, you'll be able to see a cylinder through there, which is exactly what I wanted to see. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. I did deliberate, as you know, and ahed, but I think it's worked out really well. The reason I've stopped covering the front for the minute is because I broke off this area here, just broke it off completely when I was working on this part. I just caught it with my finger and snapped it all, so it's all glued back in. I've reinforced it with a bit of white glue in behind as well. That should have dried clear. It's still not quite dry actually, right in the corner. So tomorrow I can finish covering this. Oh, I think it looks beautiful. Look at that. I bet you would wish you were here and you could just, it's so smooth and so matte. It's gorgeous. Okay, this is turning into one beautiful, beautiful aeroplane. Okay guys, catch you soon. Just thought I'd have a go at a roundel on the wing. And I'm not sure, I want to minimize the air bubbles under it, so I cut out this circle out of the blue film and I sort of tapped around the inside. Now I'm going to sort of work my way out, but I want to try and avoid air bubbles if at all possible. I'll reduce the heat of the iron as well because I want the opportunity to be able to sort of pull it off if necessary. And I had a go just now. It's slightly wrinkled here. I forgot to take the backing off. What was it wrinkled for? So my sort of plan is to sort of do this. There's air bubbles straight away. So I really want to avoid, because if this was painted you wouldn't have air bubbles under paint, would you? But because it's tricky going over all the ribs. So I'm going to try and sort of push it out from the inside edge to the outside edge. Kind of working in places where there's no ribs. It's not too bad. Try that one out. Yep, done away with that. Like all these things, it's sort of technique, isn't it? Practice. The underneath will be easier because it's flat. I suppose, you know, at first casual glance, it doesn't look too bad. Let's just go over it now. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'll go over the whole thing with a hotter iron in a minute, but I'll go over it with a piece of tissue. Okay, let's do the center one. So I've got blue, white and red. The white circle I don't have to do because it's already there. So there. Now all I've got to do is to get this in the middle. No, actually, I'd say that was pretty much there. Let's put a bit of heat on it quickly. Okay. And it's right in the middle between two ribs, so I haven't got any nasty hills to go over. Oh, look at that. Oh, I'm happy with that. It's not too bad. All right, let's pump the temperature up. And a bit of tissue. I'll just go over the whole thing. Yeah, there's a couple of little air bubbles, but I'll go over the whole thing. While we're waiting for that iron to heat up, let me just show you what I've done just now. I've stuck a couple of small bits of plywood either side of the inside of the cowl cheek. So now this should just clip in and it can't move sideways. Really locates it well. There we go. That holds it sideways just enough. Lovely. Okay, back to the roundel. Just going to do that. A bit more heat. Little string there. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. That looks nice. How did I cut the circle? I cut a piece of blue like this. You just turn you slightly. I taped it all the way around to my plastic worksheet. Cut the inner hole first. When that was out, I taped all around the inside of the hole, so now everything's holding flat. When I say cut, I use this little, it's got a little blade on it, angled forward. You can set it to the diameter and go around as many times as you need. Cut that out, taped it inside, set it up again, and then cut the outside, and ended up with what you saw on the wing. And this is still set for the inside one, which I also taped down actually. I don't know if I can do it freehand. Let's have a go, because I've got, well, 3 more for the wings. It'll probably move about. If you do it on, say, my plasterboard, it would make too big a hole. By the time you've gone around 3 or 4 times, it's moving. So you need something that's not going to, there's the hole I made. It doesn't move, it just makes a small indentation and that's it. But just for a bit of fun, so I can press it in, but just for a bit of fun, let's just see if we can't cut. It needs to be taped really, see, because it moves up and down. So, well, there's a bit of tape. Look, let's just whack that on there without moving the rest. This is only a blade fix, so if your bottom piece moves, then you're going to have a sort of an oval line. There you go. But tape is your friend, and a plastic board like that is also your friend. Doesn't make you laugh, guys. I was just spraying some plastic primer on there, so I used the magnets to stick it to my filing cabinet to dry. When I opened the door and shut it again, it fell off, hit the ground, and yeah, and I've also got some cracks up here. So although they're strong, they are brittle. So I've got a crack there to repair, and then try and piece this lot together. All good fun. Right, I've CA'd it all together, given it a bit of a sand. And there's a couple of small bits where splinters of plastic are missing, so I'm going to mix up some epoxy from Bucks Composites in the UK. I've got lots of epoxy, and this is by way of, I don't need that now actually, let's take that away. Got my mixing by weight, 2.5 to 1 I think it was. But I've got a chart I made. Unfortunately, I won't be spraying this today. So what I plan to do is put some lightweight glass cloth around the inside, and then put some super lightweight fairing compound in here to make some filler up to go around the outside. Right, let's see if we can't get some of this resin on, and if it might be better to pour it. Let's give it a go. Just get it in there and then I can move it about. Just gently just tapping it with the edge of the stick. If you pull it, it will probably drag. What I probably find will happen, of course, is it'll pool, being a curved surface, so if I get it up to the what will become the shallow end to start, and then it can sort of pool its way down. Thing is about this glass cloth, it's very thin, and I haven't got a lot of room in there, to be honest, because the motor is quite close, at least around the front. While that's doing that, I'm going to mix up some filler and put it on the top. If you're after any fiberglass or epoxy supplies in the UK, check out Bucks Composites, and yeah, bucks-composites.com, and Graham will sort you out. They've got some fantastic stuff on there. Carbon toes, fiberglass matting of all different sizes. That looks a little bit on the runny side. Just add a little bit more, I think. Yes, try not to drop your cowl. They don't like dropping onto concrete, which is what happened. That will do. Plenty of filler, plenty of epoxy, and we'll let that set off and come back and give it a good old sanding and turn it into a beautiful, unblemished, unrecognisably repaired cowl. Put that to one side and I'll get on with something constructive instead of destructive. Cheers, guys. They've had a couple of coats of paint, guys, but I want to flat it back using 2500 grit because I'm not entirely happy with it. When you're sanding a panel like this, you want to avoid going right up to the edge, because you'll just sand right off the edge. You'll end up with no paint on the edges at all. Right, I'm going to go back out to the spray booth and put another coat on. I've just sprayed the front cabane struts, well, the cabane struts, and the bottom of the fuel tank. The bottom of the fuel tank's white and the top of the fuel tank's going to be red. So I've just sprayed the white in, and then I'll have to mask it off to bring it back in for that. And it took quite a bit of spraying actually, because you know those simulated flutes are quite close together, and they sort of took a little bit of, at least I can fill them a bit, can't I? Let's put this in this time. The inside of the doors is going to be the same green of the interior of the aeroplane. So all this, I've given it just a light coat of primer, but it's going to have green on it. Right, I'm going to go out and give these another coat of gloss, and these are the lovely jobs, guys, aren't they? Coming on, guys. Let's see. Basic sanding done. I'll clean up the inside hole a little bit. There's a couple of little spots on the cut edges here that will just want to be filled. But yeah, it's coming on. nearly restored. It's a shame I did drop it because it would be sprayed up by now. If I just show you the front part, that's all made, and I started to paint the front part of the dummy motor, which would sit somewhere like that, somewhere like that, so you'll get the impression of the Gypsy motor there, engine I should say. Still painting it, but yeah, it's got to be done, hasn't it? Such a large opening. Shame I couldn't use the rest of the engine, but there you go. Anyway, I'll carry on here and fill it a bit and get it sprayed, and then we'll caught up. Okay guys, I've given it a coat of primer. Looks okay. Well, it looks very good actually. I'm quite pleased with it. I wouldn't say the hole is completely circular now, but it's just a little bit out, but won't affect anything. So, but I have noticed that you can see sort of ridges. I'm not sure if they're, so I'm not entirely sure if this is like, it must be 3D molded, I suppose. I don't know, I'm not sure, but anyhow, I'm going to give it a bit of a rub down with water. I've primed it, but water and soap, but I've got a small run here I'm just working on, but I'm just hoping that I can, some of the ridges, this is supposed to be high build primer, I'm hoping I can get rid of some of the ridges, because this is matte. You wait till I gloss it, it'll be even more obvious. They did show themselves actually in the lower half of the cowl that I already sprayed. This paper is just, it's 2,500 grit and it's not touching it, it's not taking off hardly any, so I'll abandon that I think. Well, it has done some, but it hasn't taken off that little area of, let me just get some better paper here. That's 400 grit, let's just have a go with this. That's better, I can feel it cutting now. This is quite grooved here. You can, I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, you can see the areas which are coming off, which is exactly what I wanted to see. I know Tony has changed the cowl for the more flexible one, which is fiberglass on the inside, I believe, so your kit may not have this style of cowl, so you'll have to work out how to finish it yourself. Thing is with gloss paint, whatever's underneath it isn't covered up, it's usually amplified. We'll dry that off and take it back out to the spray booth, also known as a greenhouse, and give it another couple of coats of primer, and when that's set I'll see if I can get some red on it. Yeah, that was worth doing. Look at those lines. Next time you see that, guys, it will be gleaming red, unless I drop it again, in which case I'll have to painstakingly reassemble it. Right, I want some stripes on the rudder, and I'm going to have a go at putting them on, hopefully without putting in too many air bubbles. I did think about masking it and painting it, but I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to mask it all up to spray, but I'm not entirely sure the edge would be as clean as this. But of course there wouldn't be any air bubbles in it if I sprayed it. So anyway, I'm going to try it with this. And I'm not going to worry about the white round here. I've put the iron down to, it's on 95 at the moment. And I'm hoping that the lower temperature will inhibit air bubbles. If I just sort of start right there, to sort of try and work my way along. Maybe I'll work my way this way. As I go, it should be reasonably bubble free. Then I can, if I need to, up the temperature. There's a bubble straight away. I wonder if I can get it out. Yeah. Tell you what, let's get out one of my weights. Stop this moving about. It's all to do with technique, isn't it? And this is a good one. Up over the rib, down the other side. Being a lower temperature, I can peel it off again. Okay, that's nice. Not one air bubble. Right, I'll trim the edges, do the other side, and then have a go at the blue. Then I'll come back and we can have a look. What should I do? Suddenly that side looks really blank, doesn't it? Look at that. Beautiful. Colours of the Union Jack, or Union flag, Great British flag, and of course the Stars and Stripes, minus the stars. I think I'm quite happy with that. Very happy. I'm not sure how I'm going to fix the hinges yet. They're glued in this side, but if I just put glue there and push it in, it's going to choke them up. I am toying with such a tight fit of just drilling a fine hole and putting a pin through, like we did in the old days, and then if at any time in the future I need to remove it, I can. Following a video that Mark Croucher's done on his assembling the interior parts, he fitted some dummy framework, and I wondered if I could fit some dummy framework after it's all covered in that, and I've managed to fit some. Look, so I've got some tubular steel effect on there and in there, so quite pleased with that. So thank you, Mark, for that inspirational video. To just yeah, I think maybe the screens are next. They're a little bit vulnerable, which is why I'm leaving it to the very last. Now, I have fitted them once before, and I did notice that one was laying back at a steeper angle, so I re-drilled the holes. I haven't filled them, but I don't think I'm going to be able to pick them up. If I pick up the holes, I do. If I don't, I don't. And then put them in with the very small screws. Hopefully I've got enough to do all the other bits. I don't think I have actually. Let's just put them in here. Don't think I have these very, very small ones. These will go through there like that. So all I need to do is to drill 4 holes, push them in, and I plan on CA in them, and that will hold it down. That will have to do, I think. Actually, I'm going to tape it in position, and once it's taped in position, I can check it from all angles. I'll measure from there to there and all the salient points, and when I'm happy, I'll just put a couple of pins through to hold it, drill the back holes, put a couple of pins in, take the front pins out, drill those. That's what I'm going to do. So when I'm putting the pins in, the actual screws, I'll come back to you guys. So I've just screwed in the rear windshield, having measured it and looked at it from all angles, and it seems quite solid actually. I'm surprised, but then I did give it an extra thickness of balsa wood on the inside because it was only 1/16 or 2mm balsa, and I've made it up to 4mm, which gives me something to screw into, but I'm not happy with that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take out each screw now, and I'm going to put a little drop of CA in the hole or on the end of the screw, one of the two, and put the screw back in, and that will guarantee that it's not going to come out, and it'll be as good as it can be. If I put it on the screw, I can see how much I've got on, can't I? So maybe I'll put it on the screw like that. I don't want it to drop off because it'll mark. There we go. I suppose as a precaution I could have put some tape around it, but so I do that, put that in and just nip it up. 2 down, 2 to go. Well, actually 2 down, 6 to go, but I haven't positioned the other frame yet, so hopefully this won't be too in the way. I've got to just start assembling everything. So I thought I'd put these on before I put the undercarriage on, because that's going to make things a little bit more cumbersome, isn't it? Right then guys, you remember these? That magic moment has come to finally put them in. I'm going to start with the rear one, or shall I start with the front one? Start with the front one. And I only need to apply epoxy around the very edge. Can't see it. I've offered up the head bumps, I don't know what they're called, and they fit. I had to trim some of the fabric off the back to get it to sit down nice and flat. Okay, I will say one thing: make sure you got a good depth lip here, because of the depth of the instrument panel. I've had to trim the top of this one back a bit to make sure that the head bump strip fits okay. Anyway, there we go. Just making sure it's parallel to the rest of it. Let that set, and then we'll come back to it and fit the forward bumps, head bumps, padding anyway. We'll fit the padding around the top, and that will complete that then. Lovely. See you soon. Okay, here we go. Like that. Just going to have to hold that, guys. So there's going to be 20 minutes of, well, I'll tell you what, I'll stop the film and then come back and hold it. And I'll show you later. They're not perfect, but I think they do the job. So yeah, what's next? Let's see, cockpit's sort of done. I still haven't done the seat. I've refinished this though. It was a bit, I've sanded it and filled it because it was a bit liney. So that looks better. I spent a few minutes on the computer yesterday evening, putting down some registration marks, and they go down there on the side. And I've also, what I plan to do is just to cut through, stick this onto some covering, cut through the letters, then I'll end up with enough letters to stick on the side. And to line them up, I get this as a template, put it where I want it, and then just stick the letters through the template. I've also printed out some larger ones for the wings, but so it overlaps like that. Same principle, but I don't want to spoil the top of the wing, to be honest. I think I might just put one underneath one of the wings and call that done. So I could do those next. The other thing I have done, that I've painted the undercarriage, which is white, as you can see. That's all sprayed up, ready to go on. But I don't want to fit that yet until I've finished playing with the fuselage. So that can stay for a minute. I think possibly I will do the lettering on the side. So I'll disappear and cut these through, spend a few minutes cutting it all through, and then I'll come back to you and we'll offer it up to the fuselage and see how we're going to do it. Okay guys, right, I've cut these out, laid the print out onto a piece of blue, cut through both, tape the blue down, tape the print out down, cut through both, take it off, and you're left with your registration letters. We don't need these, we can ditch those. And what I've just done now is just to trim out all the inside bits, because it only complicates matters and you only need the outside just to lay them on the plane. So like that. So what I'm going to do now is to tape this to the fuselage. In fact, it probably doesn't need to be that big. Tape it to the fuselage and lay the letters in and just touch each letter with the iron just to hold it in place. Say there. And the A I'll just lay in place, sort of one in the middle. Remove the template and then I can iron them down properly. Okay, see you back when I'm ironing. Right, let's have a look here. We've got, we'll start with the G. What I've done, I drew a line just above my cutouts, and I've just made that line parallel to this line, and I've put the hyphen right on the top of the piece of wood that runs fore and aft. So, and I've measured in 3 inches from there, so I can line the other one up precisely. So we'll just take the back off, and I'm going to use exactly the same technique for the main wing. Just lay that in position like that, and get your iron and just give it a where shall I stick it? There, maybe, and that should stick it down, and then I can just run around in a minute when I've taken off the template. Just taken the next one off the pile, which it happens to be a K, fitted, put a cushion under the fuselage just to stop it vibrating around. What's next? What have we got here? A. You get the idea. I'll just do the others. Okay, now we'll remove the template carefully, and all of those letters should remain in place. There we go. And all I need to do now is to stick them down without air bubbles. So I'm going to do what I did with the roundels, and that is sort of chase any bubbles ahead of the game, chase them around a bit like that. Just let this temperature come up a bit, but looking at that, I think that looks pretty neat. So as I say, I'll just let temperature come up, go over it again, and then do exactly the same thing on the other side, and then do the number on the bottom of one of the wings, and that's how I'm going to leave the registrations. Then I think our job after that will be the pleasant job now of popping the doors back on, and that's going to look quite nice. Right guys, there we go. That finishes off the registration marks. I've decided just to have one under the wing and that will do. That keeps it legal. Well, I don't know how legal it is, probably not, but there it is. Now, I did make one little boo-boo, easily corrected though, and that is this part of the wing hangs down under the fuselage, so you can see it's not covered. So I'm going to cover these ends in and get that sorted out. In the meanwhile, I'm going to go outside. The sun has now eventually come out, and I'm going to go outside and spray the cowl and the fuel tank, finish that off as well. So I'm going to pop outside now while it's sunny, and I'll do this in a minute. Cheers, guys. Well, guys, I think I've shown you that. That's the registration numbers on. And oh, I've just made a where you put your foot. Oops, I just put the seat in. Let me just take that out a minute. Where you put your foot to stand up and check dip the fuel tank or even put fuel in. I did see one picture that had a piece of leather put inside. Instead of just an open step, it had a piece of leather with a split. So you just put your foot in there. I've done something similar with the offcut of the leather from the backrest and headrest. So I rather like that little leather insert. So that just about finishes the fuselage, all bar refitting the doors. Now the doors, let me put this to one side. The doors need to have the interior painted green before I can bolt them on. So that's what I'm going to do now. And I think I can just go straight on there because they are primered. I think paint will stick okay to this. So let's just do that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint these, let them dry, and then I'm going to start the next video screwing them on and getting, well, it'll be fitting the motor. Oh, here's the fuel tank, by the way. Just got to touch in the fillers and all the rest of it. White underneath, a bit of bleed in there. Might do something with that. Sprayed it white underneath, red on top. And so that's ready to go on. And the cowl is sprayed. It's come up very nicely. It's worth that little bit of prep I did on it. And I've got an exhaust somewhere. There we are. The exhaust needs to be glued in. That goes in there. I 3D printed that. That will go in there like that. Just hang down. I think it's quite nice. So I'll let that harden off before I go playing with that again. I've sprayed the control horns. They're ready to go on. So all in all, this is just going to be the next step, really. It's final assembly time. So I'm going to get on with this, and I'll see you in part 14, which will be the final assembly, and we'll see how good she looks. And I think she's going to look brilliant. I know the colour scheme isn't a scale colour scheme at all, but it's what I wanted to do. So I've really enjoyed this build. If you're interested, well, I'll give you the sales pitch in part 14, the final part. The links are down below anyway. You can go straight to the Tony Ray website and check it out. While you're there, have a look at Mark Croucher's build, which is also linked below. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything. And I'll see you in the next part 14. Cheers, guys, which will be linked just here when it's done. Cheers.